think Stream Deck actually worked today, so we're good. Yay. What is up, everybody? Another fun-filled day of streaming wonderful 3D printing content on YouTube. Today, we have the Prusa Mini. This one, I have to say, did take a while to get here. I don't remember exactly when I ordered it. I believe we were at ERF when I placed this order, and I got it about 2 weeks ago. So, a little bit of lead time, but this should be a fairly easy build, I hope. We'll get it together. We'll do a print, see how it goes. You know, the usual. There's a lot of people in chat. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. We did time travel last night, so I'm starting a little later today than I usually do on a Sunday. But we're still here. Okay. Had to replace the Harbos, huh? Cup of Joe ready to go. Okay. Well, let's just get into this thing, shall we? We'll talk along the way. Yeah, I know. And Ricky Tanner, this isn't just because you said it, but there's going to be a lot of people, I have a feeling, that are in this chat that already have these or have seen things about them. I have thoughts on what might be going on here. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into it, but this is the cheapest offering that Prusa has ever done. So cranking these out, going at this pace, not quite sure what we're going to find. But Prusa supports it. I have faith in them. They'll figure it out. But as always, I will show you everything that I see, you will see. That is if the cameras are set up correctly today. Just some warning. I am on call today, so it probably will be pretty rare that I get a call on Sunday afternoon. But if I do, then this stream turns into mainframe troubleshooting 101. So just a heads up. Okay. Did you reboot it? That's one luxury I never have in my area. That's always my go-to, right? But we don't reboot, so that's always a problem. All right. What we got? We do have a testing slip. I like the testing slips. I can't lie. So I ordered this one generic, but then there's I got a few extra things. So the end total price was $420. I believe that's without shipping though. I got the original sheet, the smooth sheet, the PEI sheet, and I got the filament sensor switch just to check it out. So it's not the cheapest version you can get. There are a few extras, just saying. So whatever I open out of this box might not be what you get unless that's what you order. Just putting that out there. We have our 3D printing handbook. This is actually a pretty good read if you've never been through it. It is available for free online. I also believe there is a newer version of firmware out there that we might just go ahead and flash before we start printing, because we might as well, right? We got some filament. This is a half roll. No? It looks smaller for some reason. Maybe it's just because it's a Prusa mint box. But it is Galaxy Silver, weighing in at right around a kilogram, just a little bit over. Cool. I got the tiniest little bag of gummy bears, since, you know, it's mini and all. We have our checkoff sheet that has been signed. Power cord, a couple of samples of Prusa mint, lipstick red and galaxy black, which I think I have those both. Filament sensor, dealy. This is a spool holder, I'm guessing, so it's the skate type spool holder setup. There's the 608s for that. Zip ties, we got a wrench, some Prusa lube. Looks like some couplers, maybe. So there's some parts in there. Here's our little bitty sheets. Aren't they adorable? There's the PEI, and this is the textured one. Breakfast at Champs. Yes, happy DST. Good old daylight savings time. Ooh. The texture on these is just so satisfying. Looks good though. Not really big enough to make the nice wobbly sound that I like. All right. What is this? Oh, cool. It's a USB drive, but it's all metal. You can put it on your keyring. It's actually pretty nice quality. I like that. Cool. We have, I'm guessing, our display. That's usually how they come. There's that. I guess we'll just lift this up. And it is in just a couple of chunks. What's we got over here? This is our power supply.
Check the Hotends PTFE there short in the early one.
It actually spelled that out. That's pretty impressive. Thank you, Kyle, for the warning and the $2. I appreciate that. Okay. We're tied down. We're actually looped around that foam a bit. That. I like when this first came about, they released this at Earth, and they had it there with them. Everybody was freaking out about cantilever. It's just, and I get it. I mean, I get the points on both sides, right? What people are scared of cantilever, you know, oh, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. You know, and the diligence of some folks, I appreciate that, you know. But calm down. We'll see. It'll be all right. So what do we get? This is a mean well supply. That's good to see. It is the 4-pin type, kind of a, I don't know what do they officially call those, D type. There's a number for that. I don't remember what it is right offhand, but it always reminds me of the old PS2 plug. And then we have our whole cantilever section. Let's just see how easy these directions are, shall we? So we have the handbook. Tells you all the pieces, handling and transport. Don't throw it around. Disconnecting power, unpacking, updating firmware. Okay, so this is just the handbook. This is just general. They did throw in some. Ooh, I got another sticker page. I like these stickers. I'm waiting for it to read that one.
Blarg blarg pumpernickel.
Eddie Mosier, thank you very much for the $10 and the excellent text-to-speech for today. Where they're in assembly or something, right? Assembly. They hide the building the Prusa Mini since it's so easy, right? We are here for you. Find the following parts. XZ axis assembly. So we do have a handful of screws in here to locate. How many printers do I have and what do you print? I'm not sure how many I have at the moment. It's somewhat fluid in and out of here. I get a few, I get rid of a few, so on and so forth, on and on. I'm not sure how many I have right now. Maybe 25 or something. I don't know. But those are all in various states of disarray or testing or done testing or whatever it might be.
You rock, buddy. I had to try this.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry, for the 5. That was much appreciated. So yeah, I have quite a few. How many have I had total? I don't even know anymore. Most of the time, though, I mean, I print stuff for my personal use. You know, like things need fixing and or whatever that might be. I print some stuff for my own.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Now it's a competition. Thomas, thank you very much for the 10 and playing in today's game. I appreciate that. But yeah, I print things as I need things. You know, I do quite a bit of Fusion 360, but you know, I also print a lot of printer parts. But most of the printers are used for knocking out YouTube content projects. You know, if I need to build an enclosure or I need a bunch of parts fast or something like that. I don't sell prints. I don't do any of that. I mean, if somebody needs something, I will print it and send it to them. That's no big deal. But a lot of them sit there and wait for review, or they wait, you know, wait to test it or something like that. And once it's been tested, it will go on to the next user or library or school or wherever it might go to live. but I don't print professionally. Man, they go into real detail on this thing. Foam pad preparation. I almost feel like I should do this really slow so we have something to do today. Well, I appreciate that. Speaking of subscribers, we might hit 25,000 subs today. We might. And I was going to look that up, how many months that I've been doing 3D printing content on YouTube. I started, well, speaking of that, Geek Garage, thank you for the subscription. But I started making my first 3D printing video on YouTube was June 22nd, 2017. So it's been 2 years and some change. I believe we are well over 250 videos out there on 3D printing. But we're getting real close, like within 100 of 25,000. That's pretty impressive. I'm more than happy with that. The good thing is, if anybody can find what's broken on a machine, it's me. So these parts, now we're getting people scraping for their other alternate accounts and subbing, but I appreciate that. Android at Night, nice name, I like that. Thank you for the sub, as well as Nikolai, thank you. So I was going to mention about printed parts. So I received an MMU from one of our community members, an MMU2, that he was just having terrible luck with. And I might have some of the parts on it. The biggest thing that I found wrong with it were the printed parts. So the parts that he received were printed at a really large layer height, and they were printed really fast and hot. So when that filament would go through the chambers, when it's pulling it through, you know, it goes over. Not everybody probably knows how the MMU2 works, but there's a drum in there that has idler bearings on it, and then it pulls that. It turns the barrel to meet up that idler to grip each one of the 5 filaments. So when it pulls it through there, it brings it through the front of the unit and down to a tube to the extruder, and that selector goes 1 through 5 to grab whichever one it needs. Well, as it goes through those chambers, those are printed parts. And on that one, the layers were so high, it was so coarse that it would cause a failure. It would, just every so many changes, it would, on one of those, it would actually clip enough on one of those layer lines that it wouldn't push it on through. So basically all I did to get it working is I reprinted the base unit and the selector, and it works fine now. But that was one of the things that I was going to be curious about the Prusa Mini. The quality of the printed parts, even the base parts, like these black parts, are much nicer than that was. So I was kind of worried that I was going to open this up and see these really hot, fast parts, but they're not. They're a much nicer finish than that was. So maybe there was something wrong that day with that MMU2. I don't know. Maybe some of those, they were trying something to crank out a few a little faster. Don't know what happened with that, but I'm glad to see it's not that way on this one. I know I missed a whole bunch of orange things going across as I was... No, heated bed was not an option. You get that no matter what. It's just what sheet you would like to have. Do I not have a video on that? I don't know what we were talking about, but maybe I do, maybe I don't. Somebody said something about configuring a 1.2 board with some firmware. If you would like to throw questions at me in the chat and I catch them, I will do my best to answer them. But we'll see. What is it? Jafford J After Dark. We're gonna say that's what it is. I kind of like Jafford anyway. But anyway, and Mark Ellis both. Thank you very much for the subscription. Okay, so we got some feed on. So we need to open up the control box, and we're going to hook up our screen. I think we'll be okay using a regular wrench today. I don't think I need to go locate wherever I last used my Milwaukee tool. I think we'll be okay just roughing it for a couple of screws here. Dan, one thing we don't need to do is discuss the coronavirus on YouTube on a 3D printing channel any more than it's already being discussed everywhere else, right? Stay safe. I hope the best for anyone. The flu, no matter what kind, is a very dangerous thing and can hurt you and kill you. But the coronavirus will not keep me at home. I will be making the trek to Murph. I will be there. So don't you worry. If you're going, I'm going. So I'll see you there. You're so detailed on everything. So we got a plug to put in here. My fingers are just a little too fat to get that in there. There we go. Much better. Yep. 1.4 turbo with 35 2209s with the Wi-Fi. Boy, you're decked out. And the DC board. DC board. On an A20M. How much trouble am I in for? And know nothing of Marlin. Well, I don't know how the A20M is set up exactly. I believe that is a standard 2560 board. G-Tech commonly uses this ramp smelzy hybrid thing. I don't know if that's still the case. All the experience that I've had with them, that was true. It's going to be some work, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Jumping from that 2560 to trying to configure the 32-bit board when you don't know anything about Marlin could be a challenge. But there's enough content out there that you could get it done. But it's going to take you a minute if you don't know exactly where everything goes. Hello, Don. How are you? Yeah, the knowing nothing about Marlin is the bigger issue, I would definitely say. I'm not quite sure if... I guess all of those are JST-type connectors. Hopefully that's what G-Tech uses, as well as, most people are using that type. So you should be okay there, but there might be some inconsistency. I don't know. I don't know what kind of screen that uses either, but you said you wanted to go touchscreen, so So that's probably out of the question. Do a what now? They want you to go around the case. Dave Kennedy, Dave, thank you very much. You've done so much, but I appreciate the 20. Thank you for that. That's awesome. So you have steps. If so, powder 120. You've got some steps off if it's moving 10 and it goes like 30. What printer? What printer are you using? Is it something you made from scratch? You're gonna have to go back and check your step counts. Also, if you're triggering min or max, or the condition of that end stop. There's a whole lot of different settings that could cause exactly what you're talking about there. Good morning, Dave. Thank you. Yep. I'm actually working on a 1.4 turbo. Well, 1.4 boards, 1.4 and 1.4 turbo. They're almost identical. There's just a few little settings that you have to change. But I'm actually working on that right now. I'm hoping I will get it done for next week, but I don't have a ton of time. As I always do, I say that like every week, right? I want to see how they're. I'm skipping ahead. Just I'm cheating. I'm reading the end of the book. They pull it back through, and I'm guessing it goes through the top of the. Oh, they have Horibo brakes in here. They do that just so that you won't peach it. But I just want to see how hard that is to do. Well, I guess there's not. In the photo, it looks like, well, you got to go under the power and all that. But it's actually, there's quite a bit of room in here. I'm just going to do it just to say we did it. I like to read the manual, especially with manuals that are, you know, Prusa's kind of notorious for having a good manual. I just kind of want to see what they're getting at here, right? Plus, it makes the stream a little longer, right? We like that. All right. So we're in there. Okay, so pretty much, I mean, there's really not much to this. I'm just kind of going through it thoroughly. So pretty much you have two T-nuts on the side of this deal that hooks this on, and then one on the top, right in here. Can't really be able to use senseless homing. The whole reason I went with it. So, yeah, you can use senseless homing. Yeah, it's not all that easy to set up. Also, it's not. I mean, I guess it's easy to set up, but people struggle with getting the sensitivity right, depending on the driver you're using or a whole litany of other issues. But the biggest thing about sensorless homing is it's not all that consistent, really. I have it on a couple of machines, and once in a while, it will just decide to crash and not detect. So it's not perfect. Let's put it that way. the 4 total wires for an X and Y end stop that Centralist homing saves you, I don't feel it's really all that necessary. Now, if we get to the point where Marlin will do things like auto crash detection and we can recover from things like that, then it's going to be a little bit more valuable. But just to kill 2 end stops, I don't think it's really all that worth it right now. All right. It's very important that you get these screws lined up correctly. The first, the longest one, the green one, which is our 40, yeah, this one, that is the one that goes in this-a-wise. The right one, and that goes all the way through this housing. If it's if there's enough clearance for it. And there is. And then this little thing that's on top up here. There's probably a trick in the manual on how to do this. I would think it'd almost be easier to sync the top one, but maybe not. So let's see if we can grab the threads on that one. So I'm guessing Clipper supports centralist homing now, right? I haven't used Clipper in quite a while. AliExpress just sent me a text message wanting me to buy some stuff. The second one is the 20. And it goes over here. There's a little bit of guessing in with this, I would say. Guessing where that T-nut might be. I've at least hooked it with the screw because it is moving along with the axes. I got it. Okay. The third is located on the top of the extrusion, not visible in this picture. Instructions for this will be later. You want Yep, we did that. We got that. We've got the second one. Yep. All the way to the right. Push the parts together. They fit the clamp. Use the 40 to connect both parts. Take the second one on the left, move it all the way to the right. Use the 20, don't tighten yet. And then the top one gets the 12, which is right here. Move the entire XZ axis, avoiding grounding against the aluminum extrusion. You don't want that. Push the heat bed all the way to the front. There's a notch that indicates the correct neutral position of both parts. So there's a notch up here in front. Hopefully we didn't get anything too tight. Repetitive firmware on log. Have you thought about trying server? Yeah, I have used server. So what turned me off about server? A lot of people really dig it, server and host, and I can see why. It's a pretty nice interface. There's nothing wrong with that. So here's what happened. Here's the cycle of events that occurred why I don't use repetitive server and host. One, it's not free. You can use one printer or something. I don't remember what their licensing agreement is, but if you use very many, you do have to pay for it. I set everything up. I was going to test it, do a video on it, all that. I got a temporary license for 30 days or something. And then the first printer I plugged in was a Prusa Mark II. And there was something about the firmware at the time on that printer that it had a conflict with repetitive server. And Scalda, I don't know if he's in here or not, Scalda is a big repetitive server host user. And I asked him, I was like, hey, you ever seen this before? And I guess it was a known bug with some sort of version of Prusa firmware, where it would just continually cycle the serial. It would never connect up. So I fought that for a little bit. I figured out that was the issue. And then I just left it after that. Lance, thank you very much for the 5. I appreciate that. So I just left it at that point because the first one was kind of a failure out of the box, and then my license expired, and so I couldn't hook up a bunch of different ones. So I haven't gone back to it since, and that's been many, many months ago. So I really should check it out one more time. Am I going to print with this today? Walter is in the house. No, I'm just planning on building it. This is going to be the slowest build ever. I'm just going to stand here and talk about things while I casually look at this machine and not put it together. Okay. They want you to tighten the one on top first. So basically you slide this thing all the way back, and there's a notch right here that keeps you from sliding it any further, and the back stop plate keeps you from doing that. I should really, yeah, you can see it. So that's been figured out for you, and then they want you to tighten this top one. No, I'm trying to drag it out. And then they want you to tighten the right one. And then this one. Seems sturdy. It says now at step 18 we could have some gummy bears. Jesse Foreman, what's up, man? I think most of my gummy bears are yellow. That's my, that's probably my least, I don't know. The green ones are apple now, I think, so. They used to be lime, so maybe yellow is my least favorite. Eat the upper row, leave the others. I said leave the others. I can't. Where's our video game controller here? It's a nice matte screen too. I like that. So we'll tip over here. I believe it. What dates were Earth? I ordered it like the day after Earth.
A group of coughing Chinese are known as Wuhan Clan.
Oh, Hardman. Thank you for the 50, but the comment was different. But thank you for the 50. Octoprint can't send G-code fast enough to keep up with the printer. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're streaming serial, definitely it can't. Virtual SD card, right? Yeah, I mean that's going to be a huge limitation on any serial I want to say transformation. When you're sending data via serial, that's going to be a problem. But yeah, I thought they got around that, like with that virtual SD and all that good stuff. 10th and 11th. So that sounds right. So I ordered mine on October 12th, and I received it like 2 weeks ago. So that's kind of a U.S. lead time for you right at this moment. All right. And then we kind of use now that we have our LCD cable all wrapped up nice and snug in our little box here, we can use the extrusion as our cable guide. Yeah, I was going to say, I would think you'd want to fold that just a wee bit. All right, Walter, man, we'll see you later. We will have Fun in the Country Basement today at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. It will be on this channel. So when we're done with this one, come on back this afternoon, and we'll have another stream. Okay. Now we need to connect some bed cables. What's our cover look like here? So our Y stepper motor is a rubber band underneath down here. It's Octoprint being able to file the data to it. I would like to know at what part the slowdown is when it transforms that data. I would think serial would be the slow part, but maybe not. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. Okay, so we have a slot here for our Y motor. And that's going to go up here. So I'll ask, well, maybe I'll ask you all. So these types of connectors, they are a type of JST connector, I believe. But they use a little smaller pin than a DuPont connector uses. It's the connector, so a DuPont connector has that shoulder on top where it goes over the whole pin. These use a little spine that actually rises up when you slide it through the cover. Where can you buy those pins? They're quite a bit smaller. They're on all the Prusa machines, which I've never had to replace one, but Lulzbot uses them as well, and I do need to replace one of those. And they used to sell those specific Molex type pins, but now they don't sell them any longer. But now I really can't find replacement pins that size. I did check on like Mouser and DigiKey, but I really didn't say anything that that was what I was looking for. I'm really not sure where to get those. Dead simple. You are very welcome. I'm glad the video helped. Yes, it is a very quick build. We're not we're wasting lots of time and it's still going together rather fast. Yeah. I would like to know that too, old curmudgeon. That's interesting you say that though. I'd like to see the data flow on that and see how they're getting through Linux to put that out. That would take some, that, because I mean you could run, we could go in, we could really IT this thing and we could go in and set up TuneD and you know, if there's a buffer rate or something like that that's causing a problem, we could change all that up. But I'd have to know a lot more about it. As always, if I get some time, I could try to help with that. And makes Octoprint not send data for a fraction of a second. USB serial is plenty fast. It's on the UI load. Really? Because I mean, we could offload. I mean, you could push that to another process. I think you could work if it was the UI load. I think you could work around that. I don't know. We'd have to pull all that apart to figure it out. Big master car to feed the extruders. I'm gonna take that down real quick. I'm always looking for different things for tool changer parts. I will look that up. Okay, now we need to hook up the bed thermistor and the power for the bed. Make sure those are plenty tight. That's a pretty small bed. Shouldn't be an issue, but they should be nice and tight. But UI load should be easy to take care of. I think we could get around that pretty easy in Linux. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know that code very well, but Per Joen? That's as close as I'm going to get. Thank you very much for the sub. Time for another cup of Joe. Absolutely. I got to build faster so that I can start printing and then get coffee. I don't know. That's an interesting issue, to say the least. Here's our filament sensor. Where's it plugging at? Peter, thank you for the sub. All right. Should probably, what they want you to probably put filament in this, right? Can't drink it once it gets cold. I wouldn't drink any coffee if if I didn't drink it cold. I'm constantly drinking cold coffee. Not exactly sure what they're trying to tell me here. The filament sensor is not fully pushed onto the PTFE tube. The filament sensor will not work properly. Correct. The filament sensor is fully pushed onto the PTFE tube. But those pictures look identical to me. Where is the actual sensor part? I guess that's the next question. Huh. That's pretty fast, Vinci. Yeah, I started drinking coffee at probably around that age, Sergio. DigiKey, yeah. I looked over there. There's so many different types of those things. I might just have to order a handful and hope that I get the right one. It's kind of hard to tell in those little bitty pictures. All those letters run together. Werner, hello, how are you? Started drinking beer? I'll wait a little bit longer than that. Okay, this filament sensor goes in what looks like might be a max in-stop of some kind. Looks like Y max, maybe.
The connector's winking face Prusa Molux.
Prusa, do they actually call them that? That would be really handy if they did. Thank you very much for the 20 and the tip. I'm guessing that was some sort of link and not a winky face, but I can figure it out from there. Thank you for that. We'll figure it out. I was looking around for, probably roughly 5 or 6 minutes the other day trying to figure that out. So I thought I'd bounce it off of you all because you're the smartest. We have a collective mind here. Because you can definitely not find them very easily on the Amazons. I know that. Pretty good. Now what do they want there? They want this one actually kind of outside. And then there's a piece that goes on top. Don't pinch your wires. Ender 2? The Ender 2 is pretty simple. You could convert it to whatever you wanted. You could use a Gen L if you'd like. I don't know how well it's going to fit inside that case, but yeah, you could do that. I have not done that, if that's what you're asking. In fact, Ricky Tanner has my Ender 2. I no longer have one. Looks good to me. The next section is spool holder preparation. We say we do that later. Let's power up and get some firmware. Let's get the firmware updated. What do you say? Our Mini is done. And it's broken. Molex SL, and that's what I read. That's what Lulzbot calls them. But I was having a hard time finding that exact one. We'll look, I'll go back through some of this chat, and I'll look a little bit later. Again, I didn't look super hard, but everything that I was finding that looked like what I needed, didn't look like the right shape to me in the picture. Those pictures are really small. I don't really want to open that. What's up? What's up? The softwares. Come on. Kind of I'm kind of surprised that they didn't give us a USB cable. Getting some firmware, so 404. Let's go ahead and boot up and see what's on it. We have to do that anyway. Let's don't break, don't break. Prusa Mini. Oh, that's okay. I appreciate it, D. That's okay. I only need like 2 or 3, but I'll find some. I couldn't believe that I didn't have a few extras off of something. All right, welcome to the Prusa Mini. Do I want to do the setup wizard? Sure I do. I guess that is not. Filament sensor is connected.
Mini bo bani banana franifo fini me my mo mini Chris Prusa Mini is fini.
That took a minute there, Kevin. Thank you very much for the 10. I appreciate it. All right, next, run the wizard. Fan test. Fans are running. Pin to fan, checking axis. It's doing its thing. Checking heaters. Never let the machines win. Mike, he is a proud owner of a Prusa Mini. I saw he had a video the other day where he was putting this together. USB cable. This is the power cable that I didn't use. Maybe I just missed it. See, they gave me the USB drive. It does say it has firmware on it. But I mean, I could just download the most recent. Who knows when they installed this, right? They intend for you to use the flash drive. That's what he was trying to tell me. They intend for you to use the flash drive to do the firmware. Place the BBF file on the USB drive. That's what they want you to do instead of the cable. I do like this drive. What we got? Self-tests. Self-test failed. So the hot end, both the hot end and the bed heated up though. Well, now I'm gonna have to go through it and watch it again. Yes. Next. Next. It's definitely hot. Bed's definitely hot. Now we're cooling. Okay, while it's cooling, I'll put my new firmware on this key. You think it's a thermal error? We could try that. I am going to use the smooth sheet for today's print. We can do that. I was going to say, it's opposite of what a Mark III is. We're still cooling. Bubble bags are snug. I think without shipping and everything, they're $350. I believe is what they cost. It's a 32-bit board, so I'm not exactly sure how they have tailored the firmware away from Marlin to run on this board. I don't know how much of Marlin is still there. Not sure. It's set the hot end to 280. Looks like it's heating to me. So maybe that's it. Maybe the sheet keeps it warm enough. Done! All tests finished successfully. Yay! Okay. I really don't want to put the spool holder together. I would like to use this filament though. PID tuning, that's right. They set it too close. They got it too good. Not soon enough. I would love to see Prusa's farm software. That was supposed to be early this year at some point. But I haven't seen anything more on it yet. I would love to get a look at it though. Love to. Push filament into the extruder. It is there. What isn't in there quite far enough? Now it's going to take forever. I'm going to have to cancel this. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's let it go ahead and do its new firmware while we're rebooting here. Flashing. I think Repcord is the Purple Haze guy. 352, try not to get nervous. You know, that's the nice thing about YouTube. Back in the day when I had one viewer, it's exactly the same as it is now, having 352 viewers. It feels just the same. It's awesome that people show up to watch this stream. I'm sure it's more the Prusa Mini than me, but that's the great thing about YouTube. I just get to hang out with people I know in chat. I don't have to think about how many people actually are going to watch this. But that is a lot of viewers. That is definitely, I'm guessing 352 is probably the most we've ever had. I don't know if anybody can remember more than that, but that's probably the most we've ever had. That's awesome. Okay, so we flashed. We are on 404. Let's unload. Oh, we're waiting for temp. It's the way I explain things. Well, I appreciate that. I do the best I can. I appreciate that. It really cranks that extruder. Okay. Preheat for PLA. That's more like it. Sunday is going well. Hopefully everyone else's Sunday has gone well or is going well. Yeah, it does kind of sound like a 14.4. Is the color correct? No, let's get a little bit more. I don't think we're fully primed. There we go. Yes. All right. It's going to do its thing. Gladine, thank you for the sub. Barith, thank you for the sub. Much appreciated. It's nice and quiet. That looks super high off the bed, but we are at 0, so. I like a little extra smush. That looks pretty good. See how my pocket square down there turns out. Do I do paid lessons? No, I don't do paid lessons, but I'd be more than willing to help you out. If we can agree on a time and I can find an open slot, I'd be more than happy to help. Ooh, that's a nice square. Okay, I think we are in good shape here. Do you want to repeat the last step and readjustment? No. And we're done. So let's just see what is on the USB. I saw there was some G-code on there. They want me to print the nut. Should we do something different than the benchy this time? It doesn't really seem... I've done so many now, it seems like I really shouldn't do something different. That's at a 1.5. That's going to take forever. Well, it's got it set to 170. Maybe that must be the leveling temp. It's doing a lower leveling temp. All right, we'll give it a little bit of filament, let it start printing while we slap together this spool holder just to see what it's all about. Mini's doing good, no issues so far. I did have thermal runaway for the bed, but chat to the rescue. We put the sheet on and that went away. So we're all good so far. My wrench. All good. You can send me an email. Would be the best way. I think that's right. There you go. Now we're going to heat up. How about some different camera action here? I didn't really pay attention. Is that what it did? Did it do 4x4? Down in front! Hold on. Oh, I plugged in USB, now everything's all crazy. There you go. It is a 920. I use 920s on a lot of things. I have heard of Zarbro, yes. It's a Bear printer. It's a Prusa that they put a complete aluminum frame on. Sounds like I'm a holy man. I am not. I am just someone's brother named Chris. I don't believe that this is the same. This is a little different probe. I don't know if it has the thermistor in it. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. I could take the Um, I could take the cover off and tell you, but I don't know off the top of my head. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know about that, about the odd number. I don't know that that matters. I'm not sure that on that, but I really wasn't keeping track of how many it did. Would it be better for speed? I don't know about speed, but if you print them, it's it all depends on how you slice the G code. So if you throw it this way, if you print them diagonal, uh, the seam is going to be a little bit different. You can do nearest um, aligned. I believe Prusa defaults by I don't remember what it is. I have to get in the slicer and look. But going diagonal, I'm not sure so much about speed, but you're going to get the solid infill layers are going to be probably a bit shorter because instead of trying to go um, the full length of the benchy, it's going to do what it's doing now and kind of and go this way and fill it in. So maybe it would be a little faster that way. I don't know. I've never really tested it. I know in different slicers where you can't select where the seam's going to be, I have spun them like this to try to get them a little bit better, to try to get that seam to the back corner. So I have done that, as well as cooling, like trying to take advantage of a certain type of cooling duct. I've spun them like this as well. But I don't know, actually, if it would help you on speed. Because I mean, it's going to do, depending on what kind of infill they're using, it's going to do a lot of the same thing as it would in any orientation. So that's no answer at all, I understand, but not sure. I believe all of the Marlins have the manual mesh leveling that you can use. What's up, Gustner? Yes, we need some coffee. I was going to try to set up my spool holder so I didn't drag this spool all over the table. Ooh, it's even adjustable. Fancy. Let's... It's printing pretty quick, I would say. It's at a 0.15 layer height of what the file said. Guitar amp for a computer speaker. Ricky, I probably could tell you I've done that before at some point. I know I used to use my old stereo for a guitar amp when I was a kid. I know that I used to do that all the time. The speakers don't like that so much. 3D Printing Llama, what's up? Hey, by the way, Tom, I got your stickers in the mail. I don't know where I set them, but I'm going to put one up over here as soon as I remember to. So it's kind of memorable. Well, that's good. Okay. You don't find the Prusa Mini on Banggood? Well, maybe they haven't gotten around to cloning it yet. Yes, it is gyroid infill. I figured it would be. That's that's the default quality setting for Prusa now. So I figured that's what they'd be using. That adds just a wee bit of time, but we got time. What time is it anyway? Speaking of time, it's 12:33. Cool. And then what? 12s? What do I do with that reach? Here it is. Palette 2 or Prusa MMU 2? I think they're equally as much of a pain to use, honestly. What isn't a pain on one is a pain on the other. So pick your poison. I can say right now, after many, many hours of troubleshooting and tweaking and fixing and finding filament that it likes and on and on and on and on, I can say at this point, the MMU2 works better. But that was not without going to great lengths to get it that way. But I still say if you want to do multi-material and you have a Prusa Mark III or 2.5 already, I would urge you to go the way of the MMU2 instead of the palette. At least that way you don't have a whole lot invested, and if it goes bad wrong, it doesn't feel as bad as when you buy a palette. Now, if you didn't have a Prusa printer, maybe the palette is the best direction to go in. Tough call, though. Tough call. What'd they say on these? I guess these are 8s. So there you go. Richard's MMU2 works fine. So I'm still gonna say again, I'm gonna hold to that statement. If you got a Prusa already, I think MMU2 is the way to go. Mm. What is the best large printer? Are we talking budget printer? I don't know. Nowadays, cosplay for helmets and things like that, I'm not sure if you wouldn't be better off trying to get into SLA printing first. I would think there'd be a whole lot less finishing and sanding and all that good stuff if you went that way. Not over a K and a half. Colin is in the chat. What's up? Yes, it is 32-bit. Prusa has hashed together their own 32-bit board, and that's what this is running. I don't mind. I don't mind. I am not purposely ignoring anybody. I don't mind that people come in and say, hey, please notice me. I just kind of find it funny. But, Crypto Coder, what's up? I have noticed you. Best way of heating an enclosure, they make specific enclosure heaters. They're not very expensive. Over at Printed Solid, Mr. Dave Randolph has a couple of different sizes, as well as a thermostat that you can use to control it. That I have one, and it works pretty well. You could do it a number of ways, though. I've even done it with like a hair dryer, just to get it started. You get in there and get the air all warmed up and everything, and then just let the bed kind of do the work from there. I'm not sure how heated are we talking, right? Do you want to do ABS or do you want to do peak? For your, around 32-degree heated chamber, just bumping it with a dryer or something like that, and then letting the bed do the rest should be just fine. The problem is getting it up to temp the first time, because you can sit there and print for 3 or 4 hours watching it rise. I can ignore Mike. You can take it. I appreciate that, Mike. You have now been ignored. I wouldn't do that to you. What did we ever come back with? "3D print Michael's icon." I don't know what that is. Want to convert a S Pro to 32-bit? Well, 32-bit has exploded. I need some coffee. But you can get to 32-bit for like zero money now. You can get SKR 1.4 boards for, what, $25, $30, something like that. So if you want to go on the cheap side of things, that's the way I would go. Grab you an SKR board, hook it up. They seem to work okay. There might be a few issues here and there, but I've had decent luck with them. So go that route. That's one thing that's the main thing I like about the Mini, and like I need another 3D printer, but I wanted to check it out. I wanted to show it to you all because I think now we have a machine that's going to have support. You can get on chat right now and talk to folks about it if you're having an issue. They sell you parts. You can get parts. They have their own slicer, their own filament, and so the ecosystem is backed completely. And it has all the smart stuff. You've got centralist homing built in. They're going to put out firmware updates and all that stuff at a price point now that a lot more of us can touch. Now an Ender 3 might not be so attractive. These are $350, I understand. You can get Ender 3s for $150. But But for someone that doesn't want to hack and tweak, that doesn't want to do upgrades, now we're at a price point that's a lot more attractive just to jump just a little bit more instead of having to go all the way to 750 and still have to put it together. And this one, you see, I could have put it together probably in 15 minutes if I wasn't, joking around with you all. I think this is important. I think in the market that we've had, I think this is a great addition to it. So far, I'm pleased with it. We're halfway through a print, but it's so far so good. Duet is the highest of high ends for our 32-bit. Duets are very nice boards. I like dealing with them. I am a Marlin fan, as you all know, but still, those Duet boards are a killer. Yeah, Sergio, I don't think anybody, if you're going high end, I don't think anybody's going to do it finer than Duet does right now. I mean, Ultimate Machine has a really nice 32-bit board, the Arkham board. It's a good board, and you can run Marlin on it. There's nothing wrong with it. They have the highest of quality, but Duet has a little bit more, I guess, community behind it. There's more companies, there are more people using the Duet platform, and now they're coming out with Duet 3, which is even crazier than what Duet 2 could do. So if you want to just buy one board, 32-bit, just start using it and have a great board, I don't think you're going to beat Duet. Even the Maestro, Duet Wi-Fi 2, Duet Ethernet 2, or Maestro, any of those are pretty good choices for a 32-bit board. If you got the money. I know, Duet and Marlin. That is definitely something that I've been striving for. I've talked to Scott Latine about it. It's there. The processor's there. We just have to figure out all the pins and locations and things. I wish I had like 3 more days in a week. Then maybe I could get to figuring that out. Yeah, Scott, I totally get it. We could have a lot more cool stuff if we had more days in the week. Okay, I'm gonna go see if there's a little bit of coffee left. You guys watch this print and make sure it doesn't fail. That's your job. We'll go over to that, and I'll be right back. I'm back. Yeah, so Jerry, 1.3 and 2208s, it's fine. It's fine. You're not going to have that much advantage. I'm just going to leave it on the benchy here for a minute, just so you can watch it. You're not going to have that much advantage with a 1.4 versus a 1.3. The biggest thing to me for the average user is the 1.4 board is going to have 2 Z motor connections by default. So, but that's nothing you can't fix with an adapter or wiring up a plug. Fairly simple. I mean, that's not that big of a deal. So that's a nice to have on a 1.4. And 2209s versus 2208s, if you don't want to use sensorless homing, there's really no advantage there either. The 2209 will run a little bit cooler because they can tolerate a higher amperage, but 2208s are just as quiet. They run almost as cool. You might want to consider putting some fan on them, but those two configurations, if that's what you run, if that's what you got, I think it's totally acceptable. You're not going to win a whole bunch by going to the newer board and the 2209 drivers. If you are going to if you're going that route, yes, and go ahead. If you're getting into it brand new, yes, go ahead and get the 1.4 and the 2209s just because. But there's nothing wrong with the 1.3s or the 2208s either. Andy's in the chat. What's up? No notification. Well, that seems usual. Yeah, I mean, and that's the 2208s have had problems with things like linear advance, and there's a few of the features that it doesn't really care for. But again, I personally 2208s I would just use them in standalone mode and call it good. But it depends on the project that you're doing, right? I mean, that's all up to you. I think we're in good shape here. I think we are. We got a few extra parts. Frank, thank you very much for the sub. Kevin, it's going well. Thanks for joining us. Am I prepped for panic? Man, I am always prepped for panic, meaning I'm ready to panic at any moment's notice. I'm ready for any kind of panicking. That benchy's looking pretty good, I gotta say. what am I going to do with these? I guess we'll add it to the pile. Really don't need another foot. PETG all the way, powder coated sheets. PLA, I use the smooth sheet. I have it's kind of night and day. So PETG on smooth sheets sticks too good. PLA on textured sheets doesn't stick good enough for my taste. So best of both worlds. That machine there usually always has the textured sheet on it, and I'm usually always printing PETG. So PETG comes out right there, and I just kind of leave it set up that way. So that is my feeling on those sheets. Haven't had a ton of good luck. I love the texture of the sheet. I like the way it looks, but I haven't had a lot of luck printing PLA on them. I much prefer the smooth sheet for PLA. So there you go. Might hit 25,000 today. I don't even know where we were at. We were at like 904 last time I checked. 24,904. There are some moderators in the chat today. I just made one more. Yeah, and that's Scott is here. Hey, thanks for joining the chat. That's the same finding that I had. You had to get a lot of squish. Get it just a little bit hotter maybe. Get a lot of squish on that textured sheet to get it to stick well. Again, I really like the pattern that it puts on the backs of the prints. That's cool. But especially when you get out to the corners, the Prusa beds, that PCB they use, they're pretty good. They're nice and versatile. But as you start to get to the corners, they're just a little bit cool at times. So if you're printing large flat things on that textured sheet, I just don't think it sticks well enough out on those edges to use it with PLA. The smooth PEI sheets, man, they just lock onto that PLA. So I think you really need, if you're doing PETG and PLA, I think you got to have both. I think it's just a good thing to do. See you later, Tom. Good luck, man. Moderating is a thankless job. I thank all of my moderators. And if I see you in person, if you're one of my moderators and we meet in person, I will buy you a meal. Ask Ricky Tanner and Colin. I have bought both of those guys meals. I owe quite a few others for being a moderator. Sergio, I owe you a meal. Adam in 3D, what's up, man? Work is always slow, and it's already Sunday. We gotta go back to work again. I thought I had my Tom Llama stickers over here. I was gonna put it on, but I don't see them. Maybe they didn't make it downstairs yet. I thought I had them down here. Who knows where I might have laid them. Oh well. I'll put it on later. Maybe I'll find it before this afternoon stream. I'm over 25. Blue wrench becomes responsibility. That's true. Usually the people, and it's nothing against, I don't like having a ton of blue wrenches in a chat. It's nothing against anyone. It's not that I don't trust a lot of folks in this community. I've met tons of you and you're all great, but I usually make the people that are moderators are the people that I interact in person with the most. Mike is one of those. Never let the machine win. I've eaten breakfast with him probably a half a dozen times over the year. Uh, Sergio, I talk to him all the time. Colin, I've known since I was 12. So it's just that Ricky Tanner, he's been with me a long time. So that's it. I have bought him a meal, and we have shared a meal. So that's just how I do mods. Night 25, really? Okay, let's do a little math on that. Thank you very much. 25. I think 25 is a great it's a great milestone. 25,000 people, that's a lot of subs. Let's see. Let's do some stats. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Come on, update. Okay. So between Thursday, June 22nd, 2017, and today, Sunday, March 8th, 2020, when we hit 25,000 subs, that is 2 years, 8 months, and 15 days. Let's see what kind of stats it'll give me. Analytics is not set up like it used to be. Let's go to lifetime. We have had 2.6 million views, 272,000 watched hours of video time. Let's see what other stats we can get on here. The top video of all time, based on number of views on my channel, was the Prusa IKEA lac table enclosure. And that always baffles me which videos people watch. I pretty much just went through the steps of how to use Prusa's guide to put together a lac table enclosure, and that's the video people like the most. It's funny to me what people want to watch. Thank you very much for all of the congratulations. I appreciate that. Does it give me... I was looking for... Oh, here we go. So this includes every video that I've uploaded to YouTube. So that's That's like videos, example videos for models on Thingiverse, which there are a handful. That's the Patreon coffee break video. That's the monthly video. That's also the Patreon videos that I do just to explain some extra content. And there's probably a handful of those. But in that 2 years and 8 months, I have uploaded 356 videos to YouTube. That doesn't even seem possible. If you told me, hey, you have to make 350 videos, I go, there's no way. There's no way you're going to make that many. But, so there you go. Sergio wins the door prize. Yep, Sergio called it. Because the SKR boards. A lot of people like that SKR video. We were kind of at the beginning of those SKR boards. There was a few of us that had them. So that's kind of where that content got started. So a lot of people enjoy that, and that's cool. That's kind of what I do, right? I do Marlin configs for main boards. That's one of the biggest things I do. I'm hoping that I will have the 1.4 walkthrough done by Wednesday. I hope. Fingers crossed, everybody. Heated magnetic bed set up for a custom built printer for way to keep the glass built, or a way to keep the glass removable without using clips that would interfere with the nozzle and the BL touch. Well, there's a handful of things you can do there. So unfortunately, none of them are super cheap. The Wham Bam stuff is really good, but it is kind of pricey. And Matter Hackers has a nice PEI sheet that I like now too, and they have one of those systems where you can add a bed. But there's also a lot of cheaper versions of that. There are, for the Creality printers, you can get on Banggood or AliExpress, and they have a lot of different versions. I don't know their quality. They're probably okay. But Wham Bam and did I say Matter Hackers? I was supposed to say BuildTak. So check out Wham Bam, check out Printed Solid and their BuildTak stuff. That's a pretty good system. Again, they're kind of pricey. 50,000 in 2020. That's going to be a tall order, but we'll see. That's my favorite part, Chris Travis. I like all the benchies. JC Productions, I'm guessing you mean Prusa. Prusa is going to bring out a larger printer, from what I understand. They have an XL coming out. And can you tell me about silent stepper drivers compared to Mark III I have? Can you tell me more about silent stepper drivers compared to Prusa Mark III I have on... I'm not sure what you're talking about. So the Mark III has a 2130 on it. It is a silent stepper driver that you can run it. They will allow you to run them in silent mode. That's silent. That's stealth chop. And you could also run them in spread cycle to get a little more torque. That's a 2130. 2130 is kind of a thing of the past. Now we have the 2200 series, which we've had for a while. But the 2209 has recently become popular because it has all the features of the 2130, but you communicate it with UART mode, which is much simpler to do versus SPI interface, SPI. But if you're going to go get brand new stepper drivers right now, just get 2209s. They're going to do everything you need to do on a 3D printer. If you have bigger motors, then that's a different situation altogether. But just get 2209s, and you should be good to go. The difference for 1.4. As far as I know, there's only 2 different options for buying a 1.4. You can get the 1.4, you can get the 1.4 Turbo. And the only difference in between those 2 boards are you get an LPC 1768 or an LPC 1769. What is the difference in between those 2 chips? 20 megahertz. And you're not even going to come close to using the processing power on the 8, but the 9, the turbo model is like $3 more than the regular one. just get one. It doesn't matter which one. It's completely up to you. You will be able to configure them almost exactly the same in Marlin. Not a big deal. That's the only difference in between those two. Now, there are several different mini boards and, you know, 1.3s, different kinds of minis and stuff. There are a lot of them. There's the Pro, there's the new Duet copy thing. But as far as 1.4, I think there's only two of them. Favorite brand of filament? Prusa Mint is really good filament. I don't necessarily have a favorite brand. I really like Filamentum filament. It's kind of hard to get a hold of in my area. It depends what I'm doing. If I need really consistent filament, so if I were to pick one in the United States, if I were to pick one based on price, accuracy, ease of use, color choice, right now my favorite is the Jessie 2.0 from Printed Solid. It's very affordable. It's very consistent. You can get it in just a couple of days. It has a whole bunch of colors. Before I would have sent you to Inland brand from Micro Center. And it's good stuff. It's cheap. It's affordable. There's nothing wrong with that filament, but it's not as accurate as some of the other guys can make it. As far as I've seen, all the stuff that Printed Solid has turned out with that Jessie 2.0 is spot on. So I would recommend that if you're in the United States. Shown the Ender 3 videos. Yeah, the Ender 3, those videos aren't all that easy to make. I've tried to do my best of what I think is most important, and I do think the slicer settings are the most important thing on a lot of machines. But that's not the easiest thing to go through. And every print, every model is going to be just a little bit different. So I'm trying my best to get some sort of general configuration that people can use and then take that from there and tweak, if they're trying to get the perfect print, and take that to whatever model they're trying to use. I haven't really shown, you know, this is exactly what you need to do yet. I'm hoping that after we cover speed and some of the acceleration and settings and things like that, that it'll become more apparent what you need to do to get a certain type of machine running efficiently. Well, that's true. The best part about the turbo is it has a turbo sticker on the back. So you can say that. Yeah, PETG, Inland has been good to me my whole 3D printing career. Uh, I've always had really good luck with it. Plus, it's like anywhere from $15 to $18 a spool. You just can't go wrong with it. What else? Yes, eSun. I haven't had any eSun in years. The tool changer, I have not sorted out the plexiglass. I'm still running with the broken stuff, but I am getting some pretty nice prints off of it. In fact, there's one over there right now that I need to go pull off. But I have been able to do multi-material successfully fusing it together on all the different heads. So I've been able to do flex, PETG, and PLA all in one print, which is going to be pretty cool. That's what I intend to bring to Murph. I'm going to bring the tool changer, and I'm going to bring a project that I can print there relatively quickly, and then hand those out if people want them, just to show off the tool changing and the multi-material and things like that. So that's my intention. Hopefully I'm about done with that project, and then I can move on to the other stuff that I need to get done before we leave for Murph. How happy am with the Weller soldering iron station? For the money, it's really nice. I mean, it's not like, high-end, super awesome, But for the stuff that we do around here, the small stuff, it works great. Gary, thank you very much for the subscription. It is a Weller WES 51. I will be at Murph. If you're going to Murph, I will see you there. There's some debate about who makes Inland. A lot of that filament all comes out of the same factory. I'm not sure if at one time eSun was in that mix. I'm not sure if it's still that way today. You know, Hello 3D that's kind of their generic brand. They're also a very large manufacturer, so they might be in that mix too. So I'm not exactly sure where that stuff's coming from originally, what factory it's made in. They did change it up a bit a while back, so not sure where it's at the moment. Peterson, thank you very much for the subscription. Can you show? Would you like to see the print? There you go. "3D Solutech." All the Solutech I've ever had, I had decent luck with it. No issues. I've never had a bad spool or anything like that. Robbie Mack is here. What's up, man? I wish we had a 10-day week. I need to somehow get out of my day job, and then I could do more of this for you. Oh, you wanted to see the print on the tool changer. It's kind of a surprise. It's kind of a surprise. It's something Murph 2020 related. You're always that ring and what they're talking about, what this person's talking about. This is the bane of your existence when you're trying to tune a benchy print. Let's see if I can show you without. It's that band right there. And if you've ever tried to tune a printer to print a benchy well, you've probably seen that guy before. And if you're using, well, you're going to see this on a lot of slicers, not just Prusa slicer. But if you're using Prusa slicer, go through all of the layers and get down to where the deck starts, okay? And then kick over the features to layer height, and then look at flow rate. And you'll notice when it does bridging solid infill that it kicks the layer height way up, trying to fill over those gaps of infill, trying to get you a nice base for your solid finishes, so the solid finishes look good. Well, that's exactly where you see that ring around the benchy, is when it tries to convert over to fill in those gaps. And for whatever reason, that plastic, it's either the added extra amount of the plastic has added heat and it couldn't cool it quickly enough, or it couldn't compensate in between the speed change. It's something in the slicer, but it can't compensate in between the speed change for the outer layers and switching over to that solid infill. That's what I have deducted why you see that. You can get around it somewhat, but that will be in a future video, I hope. It's not the easiest thing to get around. Yeah, Prusaman's awesome, but it is a little pricey, and yes, it's not always available on Amazon. Thank you very much, Carl. I appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. $50% code on Amazon today? Nice. Yeah, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. I'm still actually doing trying to figure out an easier solution for that. Because I mean, you can affect that a lot of different ways, but I'm not sure you can get rid of that effect, what you're seeing, a couple of different ways, but I'm not sure the best way to get it done. Uh, Still working on it. Yeah, from the angle and look at the print, I see what you did there. It is a very nice benchy. This is a glittery filament, but just naked eye, it looks real good. Um, the light you can it kind of catches the side of it. You can see the layer lines; they're real consistent. But as always, we will look at it at the end of the print. Another Sergio in the house. Hello. Building a spool racer to take down Pooch. Nice. I want to see that. Uh, I don't know about Pi cams. I've never really used one on a print. I don't know how good they are. Somebody in chat will have a a suggestion for you, I'm sure. Jonas, thanks for the 5. I want to see text to speech spit that one out. Sadly, I want to wait.
Well, thanks so much for this great explanation, Christ. This bump has made me mad trying to tune my BLVMGN.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you very much for the 5, Jonas. No worries. That's just the findings that I've deduced. There's probably somebody out there who has a better explanation. As far as I know, there is not a step-by-step calibration guide that shows you how to do every setting on the slicer. That's kind of what I'm working on. When I got to working on some of this, I tried to do a little bit of research. The best guide that I found is the original manual to Slick 3R. If you get out and look around in the manual, he has done a great job of explaining what some of the slicer settings do and how it affects extrusion and all that. There's some great information out there. But as far as videos and content, I don't know of one. I'm hoping that's what we'll end up with after I get all these videos done. But it takes so much time. I still have extra video that I haven't been able to crunch yet on a lot of these other things, but I'll get to it eventually. This right here, that's the on-off light for the bed. It's PID. It's trying to sit there and hover and flashing on and off, trying to keep it consistent. I hope Murph doesn't cancel. We'll see, I guess. Richard, I believe you do have to clip one of those pins to use it on the 1.4 because the 1.4 doesn't have all of the jumpers that a 1.3 does, and that really angers me. I hate that you have to mutilate one of those pins, but we'll discuss that in the next video. We will. I have to see if I have a set of 2209s. I've got some on the printer already, but I don't want to completely kill those just to show you how to put them on a 1.4. Because I have a 1.3 right now. I need to go look for those. I'll look for them later. But yeah, I think we're gonna have to end up clipping pins. But I think that's only if you want to use sensorless homing. So I'll get into that in the video though. How loud is it? It is super quiet. Even the fans are pretty quiet. computer won't recognize your mini board. Most of the time when I see the computer not recognizing the 32-bit boards, it's because of that serial, the serial configuration. You need to set the first serial to -1. Now I know that doesn't do you any good if you can't connect, but you can pull the SD card out and load that firmware bin file manually, and then put it back in to make that change. But if you change that first serial to -1, you should be able to connect up then. Why is it not parallel with the bed? I don't know. That's the file Prusa gave me on the SD card. That's how they decided to print it. Oh, that's great to hear. Well, Farah, it has improved the consistency. That's excellent. I'm glad that it has helped. I really didn't know what I was getting into when I started making those configurations, but I wanted to go with something that I went with the default configuration because uh, that was something I knew everybody could get back to base on. So spin up the wizard, just go with defaults, and we'll go from there. So that would be, hopefully that's a good base and a good way for me to show you, hey, this is what all this stuff does. By the way, this is bad, this is good, and we'll get there eventually. The speed implications, the speed implication of that it enforces on you in machine limits, that's a completely different scenario, and I think it's one that a lot of people don't completely understand as far as how max acceleration works, how acceleration while printing works, jerk values versus junction deviation, which that's probably going to be a completely different. That's going to be a whole video by itself. Feed rate, what is feed rate speed? Where is speed impacted? That's a lot. I think a lot of people see test prints. Oh, hey, there's ringing, there's ghosting. Slow down. That's not necessarily the case. So we're going to go through all that.
Thanks for the advice.
Hey, anytime. Thank you very much for the 10. Much appreciated. Hey, Jimmy, anytime, man. That's what I'm here for. I'm trying to share what I've found with everyone else. That's the whole point. So, any questions, whatever you get. If I got time, I'm more than happy to help out. Yeah, Ashley S., you are very welcome. Yeah, and you know how this works in the chat and on this channel. My moderators, I got full faith in you. So anybody that's being annoying to anyone else in chat, that's your discretion. No hard feelings. Go faster. Scott, I definitely want to try that auto configuration. From what I've seen so far, the thing looks really good. I like it. Please leave the cat in there because that's amazing. But I would like to make a video just on that. Here's how you get the auto configuration set up, stood up, ready to go. I think that is exactly the direction that we need to get in to make these things easier, so I don't have to go through and say, hey, this is what this line does and all that good stuff every time. That probably gets really boring to watch. So I'm really looking forward to trying that thing out. Eccentric Nut is here. Yes, we're printing a Benchy. Imagine that. Jeffrey Peters, thank you very much for the 10. Much appreciated. You guys are awesome with the tips today. Thank you. That's just Streamlabs, Jerry. OBS is the streaming software I use, and then you can use the browser plugins and things like that in Streamlabs to throw them on the screen. So yeah, it's just Streamlabs account and some links put in there. That's another great point. 2209. It depends which one you grab, because not so the 2209. When you say that TMC 2209, that's just that chip. All those chips should be the same, but the board that they integrated on, that's not the same. So the what we call the step stick, that little square module that you're used to seeing that you throw on the board, those can be configured a million different ways. So whatever manufacturer you get them from, uh, the solder portions to terminate the different pins on that chip to get it to do different things might not be the same. They might be configured for standalone. They might be wide open. It just depends. And I've seen a dozen different configurations, it seems like, from Tech, Big Tree Tech. The original water rots are a little different. So you have to be careful there. So if you're getting a Big Tree Tech board, I highly recommend that you get the drivers that they want you to use. So get Big Tree Tech drivers. And I'm not a proponent, or I don't like or dislike Big Tree Tech. I think they're fine. I make no money off of that. But those step sticks that they sell you are configured to work with that board. So if you've got some others, your mileage may vary. So you might have to figure out what you need to solder or how you need to get that configured. And that's going to cause you huge amounts of issues. And I see it all the time. So if you're buying net new, just get both the same manufacturers, whether it be Tech or whoever you're buying it from. You're going to save yourself a lot of headache. Unless you know exactly what you're doing. If you know, hands down, hey, I know how to do this, and you've got your data sheet, go to Water Rot and get real ones. You know, get the original kind of the step stick designer. Get those. They're great. But otherwise, I would stick with the manufacturers. Uh, I don't know who is that Neary's account. I don't remember that being Neary's. I don't remember. I remember pinning the comment, but I don't remember who made it. But I'm glad it helped anyway. It doesn't really matter who it came from. Uh, Benchy to sub ratio, they're probably about even. I could probably send every one of the subs a Benchy. Yeah, see, it's stuff like that. You know which pins are or which. Uh, Even using the standard MSI, you know, you're used to seeing MS0, 1, 2, all of those settings for the normal jumpers, for the jumpers that we've been using to control drivers for years, the A4988s. That would hard set the microstepping for that chip. Even simple things like that can be drastically different on the newer step sticks. It used to be kind of standard, it seemed like, but you really only saw 8825s and 4988s. You really didn't see much different than that. So they were the same, but well, they were kind of the same. One if 8825, if you default out, it's 32 times. But anyway, but now it's completely all over the map. You have no idea what's going on. Pinning one of those out to figure out how it's actually configured would be a real pain. Yeah, that's too much work. Yep. Yes. If you're going to Big Tree Tech and you're getting a board, just go ahead and get their drivers. That's a good choice. I know they're going to work. I personally like when they integrate the driver boards. Now, you can't upgrade the drivers along the way. With the 2209, though, they're going to be pretty standard for a while, I'm guessing. You know, they'll probably come out with some new fancy stuff soon. But 2209 is really good. I personally would prefer them to be integrated on the board because you get more purchase that way.
Wonky wombats wreck whittle women well-adjustly.
Okay, so I'll do Badger. Thank you very much for the $2. I appreciate it. I prefer to see them landed on the board, especially if the board has quite a few layers on it, because you can dissipate the heat a lot better. I prefer them that way rather than the step stick. Plus, they take up a lot less room for other components when they're like that. You don't have to have all those headers, and I think they'd probably be just a little bit easier to cool. So I like to see it that, but other people are going to disagree because you can't upgrade them. If you burn one of those drivers out, you're pretty much done. So let's put it this way. Higher quality boards, like stuff that's known to be really good, they're always going to have integrated drivers, and you're never going to see any problems with them. Very, very rarely would you see one of those driver chips go out unless something just crazy happened. So take that for what it's worth. Christmas tree decorated with Benchy. I have a Benchy on the Christmas tree every year. That's been going on for a while. except the 25K in postage, exactly. I started doing this a while back, which this has been hanging here forever. But doing the eye hooks in the smokestack so I can just hang them around miscellaneous places. I thought that was, somewhat clever. Is there anything I consider innovating on the Prusa Mini? Well, I mean, I don't know about, innovation or anything like that, but they have gone through and created their own hot end and set up from scratch that they can use to get the cost down. Before they were using genuine E3D parts, things like that. So, and they have a 32-bit board. So as of right now, I wouldn't say it's anything out of the scope of stuff that you wouldn't normally see, but it does put them in a position of where I think we need to go. So that in itself is a pretty cool thing. But I mean, as far as technology-wise, it's kind of the same thing we always see. But we'll see where they go with that 32-bit board. It's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, so good. Anybody that has some benchies, go get you some eye hooks. Start hanging those things up. Yes, I do use OBS to feed YouTube. That's the only hook I could find. Direct drive mods for Ender 3 on Thingiverse. Abraham, I've never really looked, honestly. I mean, there's several ways you could go with that. I've seen people do the Chimera on it, which is kind of an overkill modification for an Ender 3, but no, I've never really looked around for community source, something that you could build, print out, things like that on an Ender 3 for direct drive. I can't think of one anyway right now. All right, man, we'll catch you later. Sensorless homing is kind of new, That is true. All the old Arduino stuff, that is a perfect starter setup for anyone learning code or getting into projects. Should you buy a Mini or a secondhand Mark II? I think either choice is fine. Depends on the price point and how big you'd like to print. Mark IIs are good. They're just kind of noisy. And if you can get it at the right price, there's nothing wrong with that. But the Mini is, shiny and new. It doesn't have quite the footprint that the Mark II does, but it is very quiet and easy to put together. So if you could get the Mark II at the right price, I'd say go that way. Come in a left-hand version. Get giant hooks for the benchy, and you can use the from earrings. There you go, gauge them up. Nice idea. Yeah, the Humera is it's a nifty little thing. I've heard a lot of good things about it. People using them. So they're pretty cool, and they're fairly affordable. You get the hot end and everything. A V6 would cost you around $60 somewhere in there probably, if you got the full kit. And now you can get the whole thing for around 100, I think, 109, something like that. So it's pretty awesome that they're available. Unfortunately, they're not available right now. But I definitely want to look into some for tool heads, to get a Humera tool head for the tool changer. That'll be cool. The benchies will never get old. A 2-pack. Awesome. The Bondtech plug flip. That's a much easier way to me. It's kind of hacky, but easier way to get the motor to turn the other direction. Just flip the plug. How are we doing? Well, I can tell you they have the retraction set well, because there is not one string on that. Yeah, I think that'll have to happen. We'll have to change up wiring and a few things here and there to make a few of those heads direct drive. Because it's inevitable. The Titan extruders with that really long Bowden tube, that's going to hinder you from doing a lot of things. I've got it working somewhat well, but it could be way more accurate than it is right now as far as extrusion goes without that giant tube on it. So, yeah, eventually we're going to have to change up some stuff to get it to work with some direct drive options. We have not dropped any frames. Well, now that I say that. It should jump back up. It says the health is good. So if you refresh, it should jump back up. Yeah, YouTube threw up or something. Um, let's take these one at a time. I am not concerned about issues going to Murph personally. I'm hoping they still put it on. I will be there, and I hope I see all of you there. I'm okay with it. There's a mini on eBay. uh, what's the function of the stepper motor closed loop driver boards? So when you're in, so if you have one of those driver boards on there, uh, you can essentially go into closed loop and you would forever keep track of where that motor would be. So in that scenario, you don't have to blindly go someplace to know where home is. You would always be able to know, hey, this is where I'm at. This is how I get to here. Here's the field that I'm able to move around in, and that board will take care of all of that. There are some other advantages of that as well, but in that scenario, you would no longer have to guess. So right now, let's say we got crash detection. Okay, so we crashed. Well, at this point I have no idea where I'm at after I crashed, but I can try to guess. So the stepper will take some sort of cue from the firmware and say, okay, I was roughly here. But then it has to go back home and figure out where 0 is so it can get back to that spot. And you're never going to be completely consistent when you're trying to attempt to do something like that. And that's either based on where you homed at or you made a bad snap when that happened. Okay, I think I was right here when that issue occurred. With those boards, you don't have any of that. You constantly have a map of what that stepper motor's been doing this whole time, and it's a free-for-all at that point. You can do whatever you want. You can go in whatever location. It will know where it is. You could save a print, you know, at any point. It would just be. It's a lot smarter. This is kind of a stupid. I have no idea where I am type of scenario at this point. In that mode with those boards, you could have a lot more information available about what your machine's doing. Dave, I would love some help with direct drive. Any ideas you have would be great. I believe I commented on it actually, but I saw that you had made some parts. You were starting to machine some tool changer parts. So yeah, I would love to try to get over to some direct drive heads at some point soon. So let's see. You will see llama stickers uh, during FKB. I got to go upstairs and find them. I thought I brought them down here, but I did not. I'll go find them. Yep, I'm in the same boat. As long as it's not canceled, I'll be there. They are kind of pricey, but they are not near as pricey as they were. uh, some of you might know the Mechaduino, whatever they called that. They were trying to accomplish that, just taking a regular stepper and closed looping it, and um, they were like 60, 70 bucks a piece, and I think you had to build your own. I don't. You could get them assembled, but they were even more money, and they were pretty rare. Having those boards available from Big Tree or whoever's making them, that's so much cheaper than it was before. And maybe at some point we might actually see some of that be standard. It's not a huge benefit in 3D printing right now, but you could do some pretty unique stuff, especially with large format printers like say you had a storage container, or you've seen some of those the whole room builds. That would be essential for something like that. Thank you very much, James. James from Print and Play is here. He doesn't skip the ads. You know, I didn't look to see what it supports inside there. I don't know that it would be worthwhile trying to make it dual Z for what it is. I mean, I guess you could. I mean, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to swing another carriage over there, but probably not worth the time. It is what it is. I think it's a great entry level setup as it is right now. You're going to be a lot less frustrated with a lot of the other entry level printers. Why'd you think it was in Chicago? Because we all have to fly. A lot of us fly to Midway to take a 2-hour drive to Goshen, Indiana. That's probably why. Running out of space in my video feed, you mean? It's still got room. Coffee. You reminded me, I still have some. Yeah, James, I'm sorry you're not coming. I can't get any of that awesome Canadian candy that you always bring. Mr. Big, I think is what they call. There's a candy bar that James brings called Mr. Big. It's amazing. Yes, Bondtech already has an extruder available for Prusa Mini. Check that out. Bondtech makes good stuff. They're good people. TK is here. What's up? Three hours? It's 9 hours for me. You'll double down on chocolate for Earth. Nice. $54 per piece, including the stepper and those. That's higher than I thought they were. I thought they were down in like the 25 range. I'll have to go look at those again. I thought somebody sent me a link where they were quite a bit cheaper than that. Like you could get a full kit for $100 or something. I don't remember. Later, James. BLV mod for the Prusa Mini. So catch me up to speed. BLV mod. What are we talking about? Maybe maybe the acronym just isn't ringing true with me. Somebody sent me a link to those. I'll have to scroll back through my email and take a look. I don't remember who it was, but I'll see if I can find them. Do I use Linux? I use Linux all the time. I've been using Linux for many, many years. I wouldn't say that I was a Linux admin by any means. I don't know all the super tricky stuff that a lot of the Linux admins know. But I have done a lot of bash shell scripting for many years. A little bit of Python, Perl, things like that. So yeah, I've been around Linux a little bit here and there. Oh, the BLV MGN cube. For the mini, I don't think so. No, I am aware of what you're talking about in when things are injection molded. Um, I have never seen something like that optimized for a 3D print. Now there might. That's a great question. You know who would know? Uh, Stefan over at CNC Kitchen. He would be able to tell you if there was some software they used to do that. Um, he's big time industrial 3D printing in his day job, so he would know that. I have never personally seen it. See you later, Andy. Yes, FKB this afternoon, Fun in the Country Basement. I will be hosting it here at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. It is 3 o'clock Eastern Time right now, so I don't have very much longer. But we will start that other stream. Hopefully our benchy is done by then. It told me it was only going to take 2 hours. We've got 31 minutes left. So I'll get a short break before then, but we're going to roll right into another stream. It will be right here on my channel. I'll be joined by Walter and Glenn, and we'll hang out for a couple hours and talk more about 3D printing. And we can take more questions, talk about the Mini, whatever you would like to talk about. I can get you a link to that stream as well. First impressions of the Mini, I dig it. It was easy to put together. Directions are super extensive. Shouldn't even have been that extensive. I did have one snafu not putting the sheet on, but that was my fault. I should have read the directions more clearly. It's printing beautifully. I haven't done any altering to it whatsoever. It's great so far. Not one issue. In the basement, yes, I'm always running out of room in the basement. There are ridiculous amounts of things roaming around here. Yeah, this is the benchy that came on the SD card. So I'm hoping that they just use stock settings. So I went down, hit benchy, and let it print. It is printing at 150 micron though. So that's going to make it look a little bit better. I noticed that that 150 was listed on the SD card file. So yeah, it's going to look a little better than the usual 200 micron we do, but so far it's looking great. We'll slice my own file and see how that goes. Should you buy a Mark III S or two minis? Sean, do you need the build volume? That's the only thing I'm going to say. If you need the build volume, then you're going to have to go Mark III. If you don't need that much build volume, you could up your production by 2 by getting 2 minis for probably less money than a Mark III. Another thing though, for the Mini, you're going to have to wait a while because they are quite they're backed up. So if you were in a production scenario and you needed to print a lot of things faster, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't go with the Mini. It's pretty nice. Well, that's an interesting question. Should we do a do-it-yourself Prusa Mini copy? Huh. I never really thought about it, but we could. I mean, there's a lot of 3D printed parts on here. I mean, it's got some 30-30 extrusion on it. Go like absolute as cheap as possible and try to build this thing. There's really not much to it. There's a pretty stout steel or aluminum bracket that holds the vertical that we might have to work out. I really don't see anything else that would cause us any issues, though. I don't know. We could give it a try. That might be kind of interesting. Call it the Twig. That's a perfect name. Thank you, Chris Galata. There's the FKB link for later this afternoon. Llama's always willing to store printers for me. Thank you, Llama. Log Junior. 3D print the extrusion in CF. That would be interesting. To support the mark, so you get just a little bit more X and X out there. I mean, it probably would be. You'd probably be pushing it though to get it out just a little, because that's a 250. I don't know. It's got 10mm rods in the vertical. That's going to help a ton, and it does have a metal plate at the bottom, so to keep you from getting a lot of that. But you could probably do it and be successful to get it out just a little bit further, but I don't know that it would be worth it. But you know, to each their own. You could give it a try. The branch. Well, I mean, we could get a frame, but that we have to work wood in there somehow. To make it a true log type build. So maybe we should just cut all the extrusions out of wood. I don't know. I'll think on that. We have to work a wood frame in there somehow, though. It's just not going to be right. The base could be plywood, yeah. Thanks, Guster. Thanks for the congrats. I appreciate it. Comes out the trunk. CNC router to cut the wood. Nice. Nice. You don't want me to do it the Sprusa. I love it. Yeah, winner. Love it. You don't want me to cut a nice even frame with the jigsaw like I did with log? Use aluminum angle on wood for 30-30. I don't know. That's a pretty interesting idea. Finding some wood that wouldn't curl to substitute for a 30-30 might be a challenge. I don't know. We might have to try this. Engineered lumber, that's true. That's true. We could go with some of that faux stuff. All the good ideas come out on these streams. 5-ply 3x4. It's got enough glue in it. It shouldn't cure. It shouldn't curl. This is gonna be a good one. Thank you, Colin, for the $5. 2-inch thick engineer. I don't know. We'll have to think about this. I've got a couple other printer builds, but you know, what's one more, right?
Shim sham shim sham. Wiggle wiggle bim bam. Print printer print printer print. Slam.
It actually got that much more correct than I thought it was going to. So congrats on that one. Tool changer to make the log mini. There you go. Just print it all at once. Makers of the world. That is absolutely correct. It's always amazing to me. You get on these streams or you get or video comments or anywhere. People all over the world come to them and we have discussions on making the Prusa Mini clone out of wood. Which seems like a great idea. The whole YouTube thing in general kills me. Just how interactive it actually can be. But I always appreciate hearing from others. I want to see it do this bridge. Can you see how well it's going to do the bridge? That's one of my favorite parts of Benchy watching, is that front bridge. That woman's gonna quit. Wood PLA, there you go. This is a Logitech 920C. It's not focused the best. It's kind of focused on the nozzle. The camera is, so as the Benchy moves back and forth, it's a little bit fuzzy. But I really just want to see it do the bridge. It's not auto-focusing. The autofocus makes me queasy, so I don't leave that on. It's got a little bit longer to go before we see that top bridge. But I really enjoy that part. Yes, it is. The Prusa mint, a lot of the Prusa mint has the glitter in it. It's very nice. I'm guessing this probably has auto cool set. I'll be curious if we can hear it. You probably can't hear it, but I'll be curious if the part fan ramps up. Does it tell me what the fan's set at? Oh, it's set at 100% already. No, maybe that's speed. There it was. That's so awesome that it can do that. Yeah, I was curious if the fan would ramp up when it was going to try to do that bridge, but it looks like it's already at full blast. That's a good question. How much did it cost in import duties to get it over here? I would have to look that up. I don't remember. It's been so long. Let's see. When was this bought? Ooh, there's a lot of transactions. December. And now I can't find it. I must not have gotten billed until it shipped. Don't know. I have to go back and look. I can't find it at the moment. We're getting there. So that bridge looked pretty good. It says we have 17 minutes left. Pete C, what's up? Yep, the Benchy's not completely done yet. They call it silver, right? It's Prusa Mint Galaxy Silver. Kyle, I've heard the same. I've heard a couple people say they had an issue with their Mini. I have not encountered any of that yet. So, that's just my experience. And that's why we do the live stream, right? You saw this step by step. I didn't do anything special. And here's the print. But I will, as always, keep you informed of any issues I might see. Lenny has issues and he is frustrated. You have issues on your Prusa Mini, and what are they, if you wouldn't mind elaborating? Chris Gulata has no issues so far. Mike, never let the machines win, has one. How about you? Have you had any issues? You know, Kyle, that is not a bad way to go on Prusa machines. Kristen, thank you very much for the sub. Some product releases from Prusa have stumbled at the beginning. I don't remember. How did the Mark II go? Did it go pretty well? I don't remember now. But, you know, the Mark III struggled a bit at the beginning. They got it sorted out. I waited quite a few months before I ordered a Mark III. And the Mini, they might be stumbling a little bit on the beginning of this one. David, thank you very much for the sub. So that's not a bad thing to do with Prusa, I don't think. Stand back a little bit, let everybody hack around on it a little. Prusa they will eventually get it sorted, and then buy one. Inconsistent extrusion. This thing looks pretty perfect, but we're going to take a look at it as soon as it's done. Only issue was TPE. Okay. See you later, Jerry. Thanks for joining the stream today. Rowan, thanks for joining today. See you later. 23rd of December. So you got one pretty close to the beginning, right? Elf Pimp is back. You missed the Benchy printing. There's already like mosquitoes or something coming in. And it's been warm for like 1 day. 30 minutes after it was released. Yeah, that's pretty early. Not saying that that's, that's not an excuse, but it was pretty early. See you later, Jeffrey. Thanks for coming today. Yes, it is almost done. We have 12 minutes left, the mini says. Yeah, the mosquitoes get coffee through me. I've had so much coffee, the mosquitoes land and they try to feed off my blood. They just explode. They can't handle this much intensity. "35 hours in, 17 to go. Fingers crossed." It's always when you've been waiting 2 days and it fails at the last hour that infuriates you the most. So yeah, we're only 45 minutes away from Fun in the Country Basement. So I'll finish this one up. And then here at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, we will fire up the next one. Right back here on this channel if you would like to come hang out with us again. Don't say that. Jinx it. That's the best part of winter. I totally agree with you. You didn't miss it. You made it. A Gyroid infill. It's kind of a pain in the butt to print. It takes a little longer, but man, it does look really cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have no idea how to say that. Reek? Thank you very much for the sub. Probably butchered that. Brooke from Spain? Hello. Laurent? You are very welcome. I'm totally gonna butcher that, so I'm not even gonna try. You have Muhammad. I know that one, but thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. A watch bench he never finishes. How true. Man! Steven, thank you very much for the sub. Appreciate it. Subs are flying through today. Alex, hello in Las Vegas. I was there in December. 30-30? I don't know, maybe. Christopher Young, thank you very much for the $1.50. I appreciate that. Manuel, hello. Sean, thank you. Subscribers are flying in. Maybe YouTube flips a switch when you hit 25. Laurent, I think Prusas are just dandy. I think personally, my opinion, you get what you pay for. Of course, they have issues just like every other 3D printer. No printer is perfect, but I think they are pretty good. They're some of the best printers I own. How fast can it go? I don't know. Probably pretty fast. I'm not sure with the feeding system that this one has, but you could probably go pretty quick. Thank you very much, Thomas. I appreciate it. HB Fixie? I'm gonna say HBF Fixie. I like the name, but I don't know how to pronounce it. But thank you very much. Jan, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I'm glad you learned something. I do my best. I don't always know what I'm talking about. I'm not perfect. I just ramble sometimes, but thanks for coming to the stream. It's always good to hang out with everybody. Fight Meryl? $5. Thank you very much. That's appreciated. If I had a turbo, it'd go faster. A quick test after it's done. If you come back from front of the country basement, maybe we can do a speed test. I don't know. But speed tests are not all that easy to set up, actually. You would have to get in there. You would have to get in there and adjust a lot of stuff to be able to test it correctly. Their printed parts leave a little bit to be desired. They're printed at a very fast pace. I will say that. But for the most part, I've never had a problem. They're outside of a few issues, a few cases here and there. I've never had a problem with their printed parts. They might not look the best sometimes, but they're usually good enough to get the job done, and the printers, the machines as a whole, turn out a pretty nice print. Not really a proper name. Well, you should make it one. HBF Fixie. I like that. Everything's so everything's like every 6 months or so, it's almost like everything has a fine layer of dust on it. Hopefully that's not like fumes from the filament being cooked over and over and over. Screen blurry? Oh no, we did lose a couple of frames today, but right now it says it's pretty solid. Suggestion. Yeah, that's an audio suggestion. It's always giving me some sort of audio suggestion. Yes, you could print Flex on the Mini, no problem. I'm hungry. I just realized that. You installed Octoscreen and it resets every 10 seconds. So what printer are you using it on? Because there might be some sort of serial interface that's causing that issue. But two, it does reset all the time if it has not connected to the printer. because Octoscreen is assuming that it can't get a connection for some reason, and it restarts its own service. So I haven't had any issues with it resetting when the printer was connected. It worked just fine. Touch UI is a little out of date. There is a fix that you're going to have to do to be able to use Octoprint 1.4 with Touch UI. Amazon wishlist, what does the basement need? Oh, that's very kind of you. I don't have an Amazon wishlist. What the basement needs is like 2 helpers that don't get paid much. I need somebody to walk around behind me and clean stuff up that I make a disaster area. And then someone to do all of the YouTube work for me. That's what the basement actually needs. But as far as things go, we have all kinds of things, so we should be all set. Just the basement needs you to come and hang out with me and while we do streams and chat. That's all the basement needs. Can't see the smokestack. Did I cut you off? I'm sorry. There you go. We'll see it in see you later, Sergio. What's for lunch? I don't know what's for lunch. There's got to be some leftovers or something up there somewhere. Sean, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Yeah, give Repetier a try, Tom, just to see what you think. Like I said, I've tried it a couple of times over the years. Never really decided that I wanted to switch over to it. You got an extreme close-up with support with the Marlin will support the 4252 beds with skew correction. I doubt it. I mean, that's a pretty specific configuration for something like Marlin that has to support every printer and board known to man. You can get kind of the same thing with a lot of the Marlin features that are in place today, but just that calibration that you're talking about, probably not. Mansu subscribed, thank you. Contractor, yes. Okay. Free workers, yes. Kids. If I could find some that worked. Tech support on the printers. Okay. You made a question on the Octoscreen video. Man, I've been trying to get to the comments. I'm honest. I try to answer as many as I can. I'll get to it as soon as I can. It's done. G-Tech. Benchy was stacked. Ender 3's fine, especially for the money. Okay. Now comes time for the viewing of the Benchy. Let's see if we can get some sort of focus on this guy. We want you to see all of the ins and outs of our Benchy that we printed. And it looks like it's starting to drop some frames again. YouTube's having a heck of a day. Okay, so there's really not much to say about this Benchy. We'll take a look at the side. Yeah, this is the line, the water line, as we like to say, that we discussed earlier. That's super common, especially in Prusa Slicers Slick 3R. You're going to see that. Hopefully I will be able to explain that just a little bit better in coming videos. The overhang other than our water line, is pretty much flawless. There's definitely, I think focus it a little better. There's definitely enough cooling there. We're good. Portholes, you have a little bit of that bridging droop that you see, but still looks good. There is one tiny string right there on the end that you can see, but other than that, there are no strings. The bridging on the front of the cab looks great. A lot of the common issues that you see are going to be right in here. This filament does hide it just a bit, but you can still see those inconsistencies, right? That darker line right there, as well as a few down in here. Those are usually caused by speed changes when it's trying to do that thin wall. These are considered by the slicer a thin wall item. Those parts of the deck, or the whatever you want to call it. And you can see inside them as well. Down in here. That's going to be the same kind of issue, but they look pretty good. Small perimeters, these in here, when you see those lines, those are also speed changes. It jumps those down quite a bit. You can see some of the inconsistency there, but still looks really good. Trying to get it to focus on different areas. Top finishes look great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with those top finishes. Smokestack looks really good. You could see, I did notice, it's got seam. That might be, well, let's see, let's look. It's got seams set to nearest, I'm guessing. That's why you're seeing them not so lined up. You can see it on different parts of the model. We got our first layer, pretty nice. That's a pretty nice first layer. It's a good looking benchy, I gotta say. You can kind of see 3D benchy on the back there. This is at 150 micron, so it's gonna be a little finer. But that's a good looking benchy to me. I think the Prusa Mini did really well. So there you go. No, that is the G code that came on the SD card for the benchy. I did not slice it in Prusa Slicer, but I'm guessing it probably turns out the same exact print. I'm hoping those are default settings. We can compare times or G code if we really wanted to, but I believe it. That's about what I would expect. So there we go. I know there was a lot of other stuff in the chat. So we have less than 30 minutes to Fun in the Country Basement. It is going to be right back here on this channel. So come join me in 30 minutes. I will be joined by Walter and Glenn. Come and hang out with us. We'll talk about 3D printing. We can talk about the Mini, whatever you want. Thank you for everyone that joined today. There were so many tips. The support from the community is phenomenal and always appreciated. We hit 25,000 subscribers today. That's even kind of hard for me to say. 25,000 is a number that's hard to believe. But anyway, I appreciate all the subscribers. They just continue to roll in, and the support that everyone gives me in the community. But I hope to continue to keep cranking out these videos. Thanks for joining me on the live stream. I don't know. I'm guessing we will probably have another one before Murph. I don't know. I got quite a few weeks left to go. We'll see what else we can come up with. I have a lot of different builds I need to do. But that is all for this one. Thanks everybody for joining, hanging out in chat. We had a ton of people in here today. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I love to see it grow. So I will see you in 30 minutes if you want to come join back in for Fun in the Country Basement. If not, I'll see you on the next stream. Everyone have a great day, evening, nights.